Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we have tons of stuff to get to on this show. On St. Patrick's Day, too, of all days. Plenty of stuff going on with Ducks trade news. We put out a Ducks trade article. If you didn't see it, we'll kind of go over some of that in the show. We will go over the road trip really briefly. The Ducks didn't win any games on that. We're not going to spend too much time on that, but we've got plenty of team updates, trade news with the Ducks and other teams. It's not even the weekend yet before the trade deadline, and people are making moves. So plenty of that to go over. Tons of fan questions as well, and other stuff going on in the league. So we're going to just dive into all of it, break it down. But before we start, it is St. Patrick's Day. Eddie, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking the Brewery X Ducks beer. Not the IPA one. I can't drink IPA one. It's the little, the blonde ale. See, with me, with IPA, I drink beer fast. So if I start drinking IPAs, I'll be really, lit. I went to Universal Studios recently on Valentine's Day weekend, and it was so terrible over there, the lack of staff. The bartender literally said F it and walked out of the Moe's Tavern and when people were trying to order a long line. So once I found an area that served beer, I got an IPA. I chugged a couple of them, and that hit the spot real quick. But yeah, I'm drinking that. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing any green, but the good news is I have a lot of tattoos, and a lot of them have colored green in them, so I'm safe from being pinched.
Well, I usually wear green at work, so I'm good on that one. But as far as the drinks go, I'm trying something new today. My wife found Dr. Pepper Cherry Zero. So no carbs and sugar and calories and all that other crap, but tastes fantastic with cinnamon fireball whiskey. I'll just tell you that right now. Something new I actually tried before the show. Hopefully I don't get too crazy on here and go nuts on this podcast. But Dr. Pepper Cherry Zero, not bad with some whiskey or I don't know, whatever you want to mix it with. So those are our drinks options for the show. And we'll start getting through this. So just as I'll just kind of review real quick. I know we haven't done a show in a couple weeks. We talked about some stuff on the last show. We'll bring up some of that again on this one. But the way the show goes is we will break down the games pretty quickly this time. There'll be timestamps too. You can go forward probably 30 minutes, maybe a little bit sooner on this one to see the team news, which is the next section we talk about. Then plenty of stuff on the trades going on with the Ducks and around the league, and then also league news as well, and then we'll usually finish with some fan questions. So that's kind of how the show gets set up, and we'll have sponsors throughout and whatnot going on there. Don't forget we're part of the Old City Sports Network, and we're happy to be with them, and we've been doing more and more podcasts and things like that. If you didn't catch it, I did a live show with 7 or 8 other podcasters on their network, and we're looking to do more shows like that. We actually talked about a lot of the trade stuff too, which I'll mention on this show. But let's get rolling here. We'll go through the games real quick. Like I said, I did have one funny comment, a fan question. I forgot, Eddie, I wanted to mention. We had Clancy Shiver on Instagram, and this was his. We asked for questions, right? And this was his comment. He said, "Quote: Go to St. Patrick's Day drink." End quote. So, Clancy, I don't know if you're drunk already, or you have your grammar was off, or what. I think he was saying, go St. Patrick's Day and drink, which Eddie and I are doing. I think that's what he meant, Eddie, but we're going with it. So
I love it. I love it. Yes, you know what, Clancy? I'm taking a shot right now of Pink Whitney for you. Cheers right there on the microphone. But I love it. If you're getting lit, crunk, have fun. I unfortunately have to work tomorrow morning, so I really can't get that bad. If you're going to drink and have fun, just be safe. Lyft, Uber, walk. No, don't ride a horse. You can get a DUI riding a horse drunk. Just be safe and have a good time.
That's hilarious because the thing about the horse is true. I actually teach a class on that. So that's funny that you mentioned that. A lot of people don't know about that. You can get a DUI riding a horse in the state of California. California law.
That's my life goal one day. Like, if I'm ever going to DUI when I'm older and I don't want to drive anymore, I'm just going to get drunk one day and just ride a horse, call the cops on myself, and just go to jail for that, because that's going to be one hell of a story to tell my grandkids.
Yeah, it's one of those weird weird exceptions. It's funny, but it is true. So yeah, don't ride a horse drunk. Speaking of drunk, I think the Ducks team was a little drunk on this road trip. So we'll go through these quick. But the Ducks didn't win any of these games. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of details, but they did start out in Chicago. They had no Getzlaf, no Lundestrom. They were hurt. There's also a lot of injuries going on with this team, which some of that will factor in later in the show during the trade portion. You probably know what I'm alluding to. But they didn't have those guys. Ducks had already lost to Chicago earlier in the season. And they probably played their worst period of hockey in the first period of this game, getting blown out 5 goals in that opening frame. And it was just all downhill after that. They gave up an early goal in the second period, down 6-0. They actually battled back. I was surprised. You had Silfverberg, Zegras, and Henrique all score goals. Made it 6-3, so it was interesting for a second. And then, of course, Chicago got some more goals. And Dylan Strome gets a hat trick on their freaking hat giveaway night. So, just insult to injury on this game, Eddie. The Ducks also went with that 11-7 lineup, which it just does not work for this team. And the Ducks did play a little bit better in the second half of the game, but, dude, you're down 6-0. Scoring a couple goals is playing better, so there wasn't really anything that good from this game other than the Ducks didn't get shut out and completely lay down and die.
Yeah, it's a really unfortunate, and my selfish whole point of thought is I don't get to watch a lot of these games live anymore. I have to watch after the fact when I get home, watch recordings, or have to just not watch it live. So this was one of the first games I could actually watch live. So I'm working on my cybersecurity homework and doing that. Usually it's really boring and dry. I'm looking up the Ducks game, and my cybersecurity homework is more entertaining than watching the Ducks play. I was just really pissed off. Come on, against Chicago too. But you know what? Reality, I said it before, this isn't a playoff team. Reality came down and hit this team. But to lose to a team like Chicago, that's bad. We talked about Dylan Strome too. I was saying before he was in the doghouse, he was a healthy scratch at the start of the season. I would love to see a player like that be on the Ducks. How big he is, how young he is. It kind of bit me in the ass, him scoring a hat trick, but yeah, this was a really hard one to watch, and I was really disappointed, screaming, yelling at my cybersecurity homework as well as the Ducks game.
Yeah, there just wasn't anything good other than, like I said, the Ducks battled back in the second period, but a frustrating game with no Getzlaf, no Lundstrom in there. And to add insult to injury, the Ducks then go into the Nashville game. Still no Getzlaf. He's added to the IR, was retroactive back to March 4th. And then Silfverberg's added to the IR. And then you had no Zegras, too. He had an injury. He couldn't play in this game. Lundstrom was still out. And this one was, it wasn't a lot going on in this game, really. Nashville got a power play goal in the first period. They got another goal later in the second period. Then Henrique would finally get the Ducks on the board in the third, made it 2-1. Of course, then Gibson gave up a goal a couple minutes later, which was kind of iffy. And then that was it. The Ducks, they couldn't handle it, and then they lost this one 4-1. I wasn't as mad about this game because they had no Getzlaf, Silfverberg, Zegras, and Lundstrom. They called up a bunch of players. They had Regan was called up. They brought up Leterrier. They had to bring in a bunch of reinforcements basically because all these guys were out. But I thought the Ducks actually played okay in this game. It wasn't horrible, but there's just not much to do. The Ducks were depleted in this game. Eddie, the only good thing I would tell you is that Robinson had a fight in this game against McCarron, but Robinson didn't do that well in this fight, unfortunately. So there wasn't really a lot of good stuff in this game, Eddie.
Yeah, at least he tried to drop the gloves to spark his team, but unfortunately it wasn't. It was the whole Matt Duchene show. It's funny. He came a long way. When he first got to Nashville, he did okay. Then last season, he did terrible. People were calling for him. Now he's just playing lights out. Already has 31 goals. Of course, he gets 2 against the Ducks. Just not a good road trip. They still had, I guess they were still thinking about that Chicago game and just kind of bled over to the Nashville game.
Yeah, exactly. And then, they continued the road trip, and they had back-to-back games. So they had the Devils on Saturday, and then they had the Islanders after that on Sunday. Saturday was fun in the sense that, for a couple reasons. We had our watch party, by the way. A lot of you came out and hung out, which was fun. Jen came, which, talked a lot about stuff. We were talking about things going on. Jared, also known as the Mighty Jerseys, who's a big fan, he was there. We were talking about all kinds of jersey stuff and trade stuff. And there was a good group of people there because it was Saturday night. So you had a couple of the regular crowd, and then a bunch of people. It was packed. They had a band too there that played they were coming to play in the third period. And it was hilarious because it was tied late in this game. You will recall 1-1. And we actually got the band to start playing the instruments and chanting, "Let's go Ducks, let's go Ducks." So that was pretty hilarious. So the photo, I think I posted it maybe only on Instagram, but if you check it out, I put the band up on there. And they're actually pretty good. They're playing classic rock during the third period while we were watching the game and whatnot. And then, of course, the game goes to overtime and it goes to shootout and all that, and the Ducks don't win this one. I actually thought the Ducks played better in this game. I mean, there was just a shit ton of shots in this game. There were 74 shots on goal. The Ducks had 34, Devils had 40. Not a lot of defense for Anaheim. They did get Zegras and Lundstrom back in this game. Still no Silfverberg or Getzlaf. And I forgot to mention, Steele did not play in this game either. He took a puck to the face, and that Nashville loss, he was put on the IR. So there's just so many players on the Ducks on the IR, and they ended up losing this one. But Stolarz was in net. He played lights out. He just didn't do well in the shootout, unfortunately. And I thought maybe the Ducks would steal a point in the overtime of the shootout in this one, but it just didn't happen, Eddie.
Yeah, the Nico Dawes, that rookie from New Jersey, played lights out too. It was a goaltending battle. The shots were just going crazy. I didn't watch this game live either, Mike, and I could tell you I can't even recall what the hell happened Saturday. I had a tournament this weekend, Friday, Saturday. I played some of my worst hockey myself. Saturday came, and half my team decides, including myself, that it'd be a good idea to start drinking Pink Whitney at 9 a.m. on empty stomachs. So by the time our elimination game came for the tournament, half of us were pretty much drunk. And then the rest is history. 5 bottles of Pink Whitney later, I wake up, I'm in my room like, what the hell happened? It was just nuts. I guess, I don't know. It seemed like I have a drinking problem or something, but that's why I missed the watch party. I had my tournament. Jared, I really want to hang out with you and meet you. You're always commenting, posting, all your jerseys too. I'd love to talk to you about jerseys. Jen, it's always a pleasure seeing Jen and all the other Ducks fans. I love hanging out with you guys, love interacting with you guys. I apologize I couldn't be there. I was planning on it, but unfortunately my tournament got changed from the beginning of March to the date of the watch party. So hopefully the next watch party I have everything free and I can meet up with you guys too. I can bring my girlfriend. She's a Kings fan. You guys can just give her shit. So she said she was down to go to this one, but she plays hockey with me too and played with me on Saturday. So she's the one that drove me. So cheers to her for taking care of me and driving me home, making sure I got home safe. So.
Yeah, that day was fun, man. I mean, the Ducks are drunk and you're drunk. Like I said, that's the theme. Everybody's drunk.
No. I was inebriated. There was like another word, annihilated maybe. It was just, I didn't pass out on the floor in the parking lot like one other guy did, and unfortunately, it was one of my teammates that did that. So, but yeah, his significant other made sure he got home safe too. It was just funny. It was all around a good time. I had my brother come hang out with us. Everyone was just having a good time drinking. It was fun. This is why I love the game. I love meeting the people. Mike, I met you through hockey. I met everyone else through Ducks and Pucks. All my beard league teams I played for here in Colorado. I'm so grateful and fortunate to. This game allowed me to meet so many great people, and I can't thank my dad enough for bringing me to my first game and introducing me to the game of hockey and making me fall in love with it.
Absolutely, man, and that's what I had a good time. I was looking it up, and we were going to have a watch party at Steelcraft in Garden Grove back on March of 2020, and that's when all the nonsense happened and all the craziness in the world. So I had looked it up. I was planning the events and looking, contacting all the people and everybody that was involved last time. And I'm like, it's at the 2-year mark. So we were able to do that. And it's kind of funny. That reminds me, too, when I went to the Vegas game on New Year's, I forgot to mention this on the show, too. A lot of you don't maybe remember this or not, but the whole purpose of that game, going to it, was because my mom passed away on New Year's of 2019. So going to it 2 years later on 2021 was the whole reason why we did that. That was, they lost, but if you remember, my mom passed away. Obviously, I couldn't sit there and finish the game with my emotional state of mind. But my goal was to go back on New Year's and be there and watch the whole game all the way through for her. So it was just kind of emotional things, but I was happy to do that on New Year's, and then I was happy to do this with the watch party because we had this planned, and then all the lockdowns and all this stuff happened and we couldn't do it. So I was really happy to, two things that, kind of went bad during that time, and able to kind of get through them and redo those events, and like a second chance, if you will. So I was happy about that. Everybody that came out, it was great meeting new faces. There were a couple people that I talked to that they had followed me since the beginning. I was cracking up. They were like, "Yeah, man!" Like, they listened to the show, and we were talking about a lot of stuff with the Ducks, and just trying to do more watch parties, and talking about the coverage and different things like that. We talked about the trade deadline. I mean, it was just all around a really good time. And if you haven't gone to the Steelcraft in Garden Grove, I highly recommend it. Outdoor seating with the benches and stuff. The huge ass TV that you saw that I posted in the photo. Just a good time. So we had fun with that. And like I said, the Ducks ended up losing that game, getting a point, but still losing. Then they played the next day against the Islanders, another team that they had a hard time with earlier this season. And of course, they lose this game. And actually, they didn't play bad the whole game, but the first period, they gave up 2 goals at the end of the first period in like 25, 26 seconds. They were down 3-1. He actually, we had Manson too that came back in action as well on this weekend. He actually scored in this game, and of course we'll talk about the trade naturally. But bad first period. Ducks didn't play horrible overall. Thought maybe that they could pull this out. They tried to rally. They came up a goal short, but they outshot the Islanders 42-29 in this. Not scoring on the power play in the last couple of games. We've talked about how the power play hasn't been doing as well, but kind of a rough weekend for the Ducks, Eddie. I mean, they play both these teams and lose. I don't know if you saw, the one thing that was exciting was Zegras did try the Michigan in the Islander game. He didn't score. They stopped him on that, but at least the Ducks are losing, but Zegras is still doing entertaining things, Eddie.
Yeah, Zegras is being Zegras. It seems like, he wants to win and everything, but he's going to keep going. He wants to kind of get his team out of that slump and do something to kind of take a rise out of his team. You have the fighters that will drop the gloves to energize their team. Zegras just does Zegras things. Hopefully he continues that. It kind of hurts too seeing struggling Palmieri all season get 2 goals and number 1 star. It's like, I still miss him on the team. But I almost got my heart broken when you mentioned Manson, but we'll talk about that a little later, Mike.
Yeah, we'll go into that. One thing too, Gibson did make a spectacular save on Palmieri with the paddle, preventing the hat trick. Though Gibson, we'll talk about him too, because a lot of you are riled up about him. He didn't really have his best stuff that game, but he did make a spectacular save to prevent the hat trick. But you're right, Palmieri kind of coming out of nowhere on there. And then the Ducks, their last one, they got another point against the Rangers. They lost 4-3 in overtime. Comtois starts picking it up lately. He's got a goal and 3 assists in his last 4 or 5 games. He actually scored early on this one. He set a screen on the second goal, and I really thought the Ducks deserved a better fate in this one. They not that they played better, because they didn't really play that much better in this game, but Kreider gets a lucky bounce on that power play goal in the third period that ended up forcing overtime. Maybe if that doesn't happen, the Ducks pull out a win in this one and get 2 points instead of 1. They're badly outshot 38-23. Puck possession wasn't good in this game. You did have Derek Grant getting on the board. He's actually got his 9th goal now on a great pass by O'Regan in this one. And then you had, I guess the big thing is, Terry got an assist. He also scored his 29th goal over the weekend, and then an assist in this one, so he's up to 100 points, which is fantastic for Terry. He's doing great. So I guess the biggest thing with this road trip, Eddie, is certain players are doing fine. Terry's doing his thing. Comtois kind of coming back. Zegras is still out there flying around. But overall, as a team, just not good for the Ducks. They're completely slipping out of the playoff race.
Yeah, but you know what, Mike? We both kind of called this, like, we had false hopes a little bit as fans, but as really diving down deep on this team, this is not a playoff team. We said it from the beginning. If they squeaked in the playoffs, we all knew for damn well they're going to get knocked out. You have teams, you have Vegas, you have Colorado, you have Calgary playing just, I don't know, bananas, with Markstrom just going nuts this season, Vezina Trophy candidate. Good for the Ducks that they didn't have the Rangers didn't have Shesterkin playing. He's probably going to win the Vezina. They had Georgiev, who's been playing like crap lately, but apparently he played good against the Ducks. It's just reality's hitting the Ducks, and it's nothing like to frown upon. It's not bad. Like, we all knew this was going to happen. We didn't want the Ducks to squeak in the playoffs, to just get absolutely brutally murdered if they had to play a team like Colorado Avalanche and their wild card team. Getting swept and getting that mid-round, they're dropping now, and that's good. Now we know what to fix. We know what the Ducks are capable of, what our rookies are developing for. We have Troy Terry developing to a superstar. We have our goaltending set. This is what we have to put those building blocks right now and build those pieces. Now we have to just figure out what we do for the trade deadline and get ready for next season. This team's going to be dangerous for years to come. We have too much talent on this team. We have one of the best prospect pipelines in the National Hockey League. If you're a Ducks fan, you should not get mad. You should not hold your head down. You should not bash the team or just turn your back on the team because they're dropping the standings. No, this is what is expected. After January, that comes all that grinding. No, it's just this is reality of it. Ducks aren't a playoff team. They weren't going to be a playoff team. Playoffs is a whole different animal. And the second half of the season is a whole different animal as well. And this is exactly what the Ducks are proving to everyone that first half of the season was kind of them playing just different, teams underestimating them. They had their little confidence. They were just different team. But now it's like teams are grinding out, and those playoff teams are starting to separate themselves from the non-playoff teams.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, you look at where the Ducks are at right now, and I know some people are like, oh, they can make the playoffs. It's not bad. As we're recording this, they're 3 points behind Vegas, who's actually started to slump a little bit. And people are like, oh, well, we're only 3 points behind Vegas for that last spot that we can get in there. Yeah, but you got to look at Dallas. Dallas is 1 point right now behind Vegas. Like I said at the time that we're recording this, Dallas has 5 games in hand over the Ducks. So, yeah, the Ducks are 2 points behind them, but 5 games. I mean, so they're really 6, 8, maybe 10 points behind Dallas, depending on how they do in their games. And Vancouver's right on their heels too. So it's really slim. If you look at the moneypuck.com stats, I frequently go on there. The Ducks, I think the last time I checked, it was like 2.4% they'd make the playoffs. And like the other day, it was like 1.8. So, I mean, they're hovering around 1 or 2%. They're not going to make it. I'm not worried about it either. I know a lot of people out there are stressed out about that. I'm just not worried about it. I'm not worried about this team not making the playoffs because, like you said, they're going to go in there. If they did pull it off, let's say, a lot of people are saying that it's around 92, 93 points that you have to get into the playoffs. Ducks are at 65. They're going to have to play ridiculous hockey in the last 19 games to get that. They're going to have to basically get a point a game, right? So, those 19 games, they're going to have to win probably 11 of those games maybe to get in. That's not going to happen. They're not going to win 10, 11 of the last 19 games. It's just not going to happen. So I wouldn't get your hopes up on that. I do think they did play a little bit better the last couple, not the Ranger game so much, but I think the Islanders and Devils, they did play better. I thought they had a bad couple minutes there in that Islander game in the first period. New Jersey was a goalie battle, like you said. I thought Stolarz was fantastic. I thought he deserved a better fate. He kind of folded a little bit in the shootout, but I mean, in terms of the game, he was outstanding. And even New York, they didn't play well, but they had a chance to win that game if it wasn't for a bad bounce. So, they could have pulled out 2 points now. They only got 2 points in 3 games, but they could have got that extra one against the Rangers. So I don't think that they're playing completely horrible. Obviously, they're not playing great, though. I mean, and they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not. There's too many teams in this, mix going into the end here. You've got Nashville, Vegas, Dallas, Vancouver, and Winnipeg all in the mix. And the Ducks have played more games than every single team. So That's where we're at with the team. The road trip, like I said, they didn't win any of the games. Kind of frustrating, unfortunately, is what it is. I think the bigger part, and we'll go into it now, we're going to talk about the team and what's going on is the injuries and whatnot. And this section is brought to you by Z-Stack. It's a new multivitamin pill. I've been taking it a lot. It's a great pill. Vitamin C, D, zinc, and quercetin. It's been a great pill. It's helped me a lot. I haven't been sick in a long, long time since I've been taking it. But you could check it out at zstacklife.com. Put in my name, Mike, and you'll get a discount as well on there. So with that, we'll jump in to the actual specifics of the team. I agree with you, Eddie. I think one thing that's interesting, and this will kind of bleed over into the trade deadline and trades when we get there, but this team, they have Silverberg out on a lower body injury, Getzlaf out on a lower body injury, Raquel on an upper body injury, and then Steele is out, but he has been practicing, and between the reports that we've seen, it looks like he could play soon, maybe in the game against Florida, if not the following week. So the Ducks might get him back. But you have these three guys out. We had some good news. Bradford Hardy asked about a Max Jones update, which I was actually going to provide this anyways, but we found out today, as you saw, that Max Jones posted on his social media that he was back skating on his own today, which was fantastic. The word was that he was most likely going to come back in the beginning of April. It seemed like he was on track for that to play. And if you don't know, I do put a lot of these in our game previews and game recaps. I put in a lot of the injury news and team notes in those articles. So even when the Ducks lose, I know some of you don't like to read it because I see how many people read when the Ducks lose and when they win. Obviously, more of you read it when they win, but I do put in those little things in there like the milestones that happen or some kind of injury news or things like that. So I don't always make a social media post about it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but they're in those articles. So even if the Ducks lose, or if you're kind of checked out because they've been losing in the game previews and recaps, all this team news that we talk about in the show is usually in those articles, and I put it in there multiple times in case you don't see it. So that's kind of where we're at with the injury stuff. Eddie, what do you think? I mean, I'm glad that Steele's coming back, and it's great to see Max Jones. What's your thoughts on the Ducks injuries and just kind of the status of this team? I know, like you said about the playoffs, I don't see anything happening there. But I think part of this also goes to what you and I talk about chemistry. And this is a thing that's messed up with the Ducks because it's hard to get chemistry with all these guys in and out of the lineup in these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think one of the most important people, and obviously he's important for a reason, he wears a C on his jersey, is Getzlaf. I think he's elevated this team. He's made the young guns more comfortable and elevated their game. I think, yeah, obviously he's not the Getzlaf we've known when he first came in the league, when he was that elite player, but I think he still contributes to the team and makes the team around him better. So him coming back, it's just going to help this team grow and develop into something great. His leadership ability, his skill, he's one of the greatest captains in the whole entire National Hockey League. And I'm not just saying that as a Ducks fan. You can talk to any of the fans, you can talk to the analysts, and everyone always has the utmost respect for Getzlaf and the way he holds himself, and his composure and the way he cares about his team, and that you can't ask for anything better than a captain. So looking forward to getting him back. Raquel, that's going to hurt because obviously it's a UFA status. He's been on the block. There's teams interested in him. Him being hurt, it's going to hurt his value. So hopefully we get him in a game or two or something, and he lights it up. But I don't know if the Ducks are really poised on trading him. I can't see him coming back into the lineup until after trade deadline, like even if he's healthy. So I'm not sure too if some of these things are just going to be, we're going to wait until after the trade deadline and we're going to let other teams' GMs know the truth of what's going on, or have their doctors look at the players and see for themselves because you don't want to risk them. I have no idea, but it was really good to see Max Jones back too. There we go. Something positive. Max Jones been out for a while. He was happy to be to skating again. I don't know if Max Jones listened to this podcast. He posted a Twitter question about music sharing or which music thing to do. YouTube Premium. I always had those free 30-day trials. I always said no. I tried it one day, and all of a sudden now I'm a subscriber. Not giving them free advertising, but I'm just saying, if Max Jones listen to this, try YouTube Premium.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's the good news. Max Jones coming back for sure. Like I said, we heard that it was going to be in April. Now he's skating here in mid-March. Maybe the timeline's pushed up. Maybe he gets in a game at the end of March. I don't know, but he's definitely should be playing before the season is over, which is a positive. Another thing that was positive was Manson came back, but then he was traded. I'll kind of save that till we get to the trade portion of the show, but he came back healthy. As far as the injury stuff goes, tons of rumors are flying about that. They asked Dallas Aikens his take on Raquel. He said that he was hoping that he would get back in and play. He said that there was no trade pending, but then what is he going to say? I mean, usually the coaches and the GMs are not going to say, yeah, I'm resting my guy because I'm trying to trade him. I don't know of any of them coming out and saying that. So it seems like they're out resting him. We got one more game before the trade deadline. Getzlaf hasn't really been mentioned a whole lot this time around, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if he wants to go get another cup or not. We talked about all the stuff with him and how he wants to stay in Orange County and he loves the Ducks. Even that interview he had that we talked about a little while back, he was talking about, being a front office type guy when he retires and whatnot. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen with these guys that are all quote unquote, on the IR and whatnot because they haven't come back. Steele, I can tell you for sure, is actually hurt. I mean, if you saw it, he took a puck to the face and was bleeding bad. He was legit hurt. So, and there's no doubt about that. With Silverberg, Getzlaf, and Raquel, there's just not a lot of details. And so everybody is out there speculating left and right that, they're just holding them all out because potentially getting traded. I don't know about that. And I mean, it's tough to tell. And like you said, we may not find out until after the trade deadline, or we might not find out at all. But with Verbeek and the way things are going right now, he knows this team isn't going to make the playoffs. So if he's keeping people out for a couple extra games, it would not surprise me at all, Eddie.
Oh, no. And that's not a bad thing either. It's not. I hope people don't think he's just looking down on this team. And it's not a bad thing. He's looking at reality. He's looking at the big picture and what he wants to mold this team to be. It's us not hearing any word about Getzlaf. It seems like Getzlaf is content with just staying on the Ducks team. He seems like that's his home, and he wants to pride himself, like he said numerous times, on staying on that one team. Me as following the Avalanche, my second favorite team. I was kind of hoping that Getzlaf would get traded to the Avalanche. They're looking for that third line center. They need that physicality. They already got another player from the Ducks that we'll talk about in a minute or two. But you know what? I respect Getzlaf's decision because it's going to be ultimately his. I think he's earned the right to talk to management and say that he wants to stay or he wants to go. I wouldn't mind seeing him go to try to chase another cup, as long as it's not with Minnesota or any team like that I hate. But yeah, as far as him, I don't think he's going to be traded deadline. I think Getzlaf is there to stay.
Yeah, he's the one that's gotten the least, hardly any news about him. I mean, but we'll break that down in the trade section. So that's just the injury updates. That's where they're at. The Ducks have a lot of guys out. They're resting some of them. In terms, especially with the way things are going with the team, not most likely making the playoffs, as we said, and the trade deadline coming up. I think another interesting thing, a lot of talk about Gibson lately, and a lot of people not happy with the way he's played. If you look at his numbers on the season, he's 17, 18, and 9, 3.05 goals against, and 9.05 save percentage. He actually was lighting it up before the All-Star break. His 7 games before, he was 4-1-2, 1.69 goals against, and a 9.48 save percentage. And then since then, he's only won 2 of his last 11 starts, giving up around 4 goals a game, and the save percentage is barely over 8.2 or 0.82. So a lot of stuff going on with Gibson. I think the interesting thing is I asked Dan Wood and Steve Carroll on their Duck Hughes about that, and it was interesting. I didn't think that they would say too much about it, Eddie, but they actually did. They both felt that Gibson is lacking focus right now and lacking confidence. So I thought that was pretty interesting. What do you think about the Gibson situation? Because it seems like a lot of people, I read a lot, your comments on social media, and people are really torn on this. Some people are like, just trade him, and then other people are like, no, the Ducks defense is an issue. And then and then everybody goes back and forth and argues about it. I mean, what do you think about Gibson in all of this?
Well, it's kind of hard to blame Gibson when your team's giving up a ton of shots per game. There's been numerous times where it's like the Ducks are getting outshot 10, 15, almost 20 shots in a period. It's nuts. It's hard to blame him. Their goalies are a different breed. They check out real quick. If your team's not performing, it's easy to get distracted. It's not like they're least competitive. It's just, who are you going to trade him for? Gibson's arguably the second best goalie in the whole entire National Hockey League. You want to argue maybe third if you want to throw Markstrom up there, because Markstrom's having a fantastic season with Calgary. I mean, do you want to send Zegras and Drysdale, your first round pick, a few second round picks? I don't know. You want to send someone's first child to get Vasilevsky from Tampa Bay and send Gibson over there? Like, I mean, come on. Gibson's having a bad season. The Ducks haven't played that well in front of him. The Ducks have been pretty much, quote unquote, drowning lately. I'm not the biggest Gibson fan. Everyone knows that, but I have his back on this one. It's having a slump, just like skaters do when they're not scoring goals, or you have a player that's not playing that well. Defense a few games, it gets wear and tear on the goalie, and when you're taking that many shots per game, you see your team not performing as great as you've been all season. It gets tiring, and the focus just loses. He's human. He's not a robot, so you can't really blame it on him.
For me, I have a little bit of a different take. I honestly think they should bench him more often down the rest of the season. I think part of it's what you said, with the defense and things going on, but I think some of it's on him too. And I think that they should play Stolarz more often down the stretch. That's just what I think for the rest of the season, Eddie.
I think they should bring up some of the little our AHL goalies, Dostal, and give him some more games. Yes. Obviously, this team is not going to make the playoffs. Why not see what we have in him? If he starts outperforming both of them, okay, now we have an issue. Now we can send Stolarz away and get an asset for him, because now we have a capable backup goalie that can probably potentially challenge Gibson in the near future in the starting role. Like, why not do that and give him a few more starts, especially if this team has just not been playing as well as they have been. I'm not blaming it on Stolarz. I think Stolarz has been playing some decent hockey when he has been in net. At some games he's been playing outstanding, but it's just at this point we got to see what our young guns can do and help them develop, especially goalies. Goalies are harder to develop and take longer, but he has to get more games in the National Hockey League to see what we really have in him and see if we can move forward and he can be that elite goalie that we're all hoping that he's going to be in, and we can start having an argument, which is the Ducks fans' trademark of, Gibson versus Dostal. Like, we had Gibson versus Anderson. People still talk about that.
Yeah, you. It's funny you mention that. People do still bring up the Anderson Gibson thing, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, like that was a long time ago. But yeah, I'm with you too. Like, bring up Dostal and let him play some games. Let Stolarz play. Let them play a bunch. I mean, I'm just kind of like, you're right. You see Gibson get frustrated, and I think his confidence has taken a little bit of a hit. The focus part, I mean, that's a little bit harder to tell. You definitely see him getting frustrated. And I think he gets burnt out, and maybe that bleeds into his focus. But this team, after the All-Star break, in general, has gone down. I mean, the special teams are still up there, usually around, I think, top 10. I haven't looked at it just yet recently, but they used to be top 5. So special teams have started to go down a little bit. And, I mean, if you look at this team, there's not a lot of people playing well consistently. And the injuries do factor into that, as we've talked about. So, it's just, it's been rough. I think giving him a break and bringing those guys in for sure would be something, because like we said, the Ducks aren't really playoff bound. We had a couple other fan questions on that too. I kind of covered it, but they asked, the Ducks turn the season around. That was DJ KIKE714. The Ducks aren't going to turn around the season. They may play better, but they're not going to turn around and be a playoff team, and that's what AVVNS asked. Are the playoff hopes dead at this point? Yeah, the playoff hopes are dead at this point. And I think Verbeek realizes that. That's not a surprise. It's not a secret, and that's where we're at. With this team, there's just not a whole lot of stuff going on in terms of the playoffs. But this kind of leads over into the trade stuff and what Verbeek's doing. We'll talk about all the trade stuff right now. The big part that you guys want to go over as far as everything, right? This section is brought to you by Body Check Wellness. That's check CHEK, capital OCS for a discount. Make sure you check it out. But the thing with this team is Verbeek knows they're not a playoff team, and that's evident by the Manson trade. He did that trade fairly early too, which is one thing I did like. Before we dive into the actual trade, which I know, Eddie, you got tons to talk about because your other team, Colorado, made 2 trades early this week. But he didn't wait till the last minute, and I think that's one thing that drove a lot of us nuts with Murray is that he would throw in like 5 trades at like the final hour or final second of the trade deadline and blow it. It was just nuts. But I think he knows that, and he made this trade with Manson. We actually talked about this on the last show that it looked like Manson was going to be traded. Mentioned it in the trade article as well. All the signs pointed towards that. Verbeek is still trying to work on Lindholm. Manson was on the back burner. They picked up Andre Schuster off waivers, and I don't know. I just think that Manson trade was inevitable. I think it is going to be done, and that's what happened. And to me, this trade, I like the trade, and I'll let you weigh in on that and everything. But I think this trade also signals that Verbeek's like, okay, we got to work on this rebuild and get going, because this team is not a playoff team, and it's not even about a playoff team. I would say it's not a contender type team. And so I think that this trade made a lot of sense, Eddie, and I think it's one that'll work for both teams. But what's your take? Because the Ducks are basically the team that made the first big trade before the trade deadline, technically. Well, and Colorado, obviously, together.
Yeah, the Ducks pushed the dominoes down, and I was telling my hockey friends and everyone, the Ducks pushed that domino and really set the tone for the trade deadline. I think Manson to the Ducks, or I'm sorry, to the Colorado Avalanche is going to be great for them. It's going to instantly pay dividends. Manson's the kind of player you would die for in the playoffs. He's that player you do not want to play against. He's going to alleviate and take this kind of stress off players like Kadri, who's having a fantastic season. He's playing lights out, the best season of his career. Well, he's had numerous suspensions in the playoffs, so because he loves to defend his teammates, and he takes liberties at other players that take liberties at his teammates. You have a player like Gabriel Landeskog, which a lot of Ducks fans don't like. He's been a thorn in the Ducks for a while, but he'll take liberties for his team too, and he'll go out there, which you don't want Gabriel Landeskog going out there. Another player too that Manson can help protect and take away that, I guess, that fight mentality for and stand up for a teammate is Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon is a hothead. He's had some anger problems, which he admitted before on the Spit and Shakers podcast, and he's not shy to drop the gloves and stand up for his team. It doesn't matter if you hit their worst player on the 4th line or some rookie. Nathan MacKinnon will jump in there, and the Avalanche do not need players like MacKinnon, Kadri, or Landeskog going out there and fighting. Now they have a player like Manson that's going to be in your face, that's going to throw the hit. If you're going to go to the boards with them, you're going to get hurt. It boosts the Avalanche that much higher for them to potentially win a cup. The playoffs is a whole different breed of hockey. Like, you have to not only be skilled, but you have to be physical. And Manson, it seems like he was his bred, and he's molded for that playoff mentality. It was weird, and it sucked to see him in a different jersey, even though I do like the Colorado Avalanche. It's my second favorite team. It was just so surreal and just like, what the F is going on? But yeah, I'm glad he got traded to the Avalanche, and I wish him nothing but the best. Him and his wife. I know it's a big change for them. The only thing I hope for Manson is I hope that he goes and wins a cup with the Colorado Avalanche, and I hope he comes back and signs with the Ducks. As far as what the Avalanche gave back, a 2nd-round pick, and then their defenseman Hellison. A lot of the Avalanche fans were really bummed out on them giving up him. He's supposed to be another kind of a Manson, a younger Manson coming up. Like you said, Mike, when we were talking earlier, He's one of those players that can fill that role, replace him. He was big on the Avalanche's like blue line of prospects that people wanted. Avs fans were kind of devastated on losing him. However, the Avalanche have a pipeline of defensemen. They have Devon Taves has been playing. He's underrated. That's a great defenseman. They gave up only a couple of second round picks for him. It was one of those trades where right now you can actually just say that both teams won the trade. Ducks got some assets. They got a good rookie in the pipeline that they recently signed. And apparently Zegras loves that. And then they have a second-round pick in 2023 for that. So I think everyone wins in this. If Manson wins the Stanley Cup, he re-signs with the Ducks in the offseason, and everyone double wins, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was we had longtime listener Matt Fleshman. He asked that if the Manson would win the Cup and the Ducks bring it back. I definitely think Colorado has an excellent chance at winning the Cup. They've been playing great. As far as the Ducks bringing him back, I don't know. That's a tough one because the thing with Verbeek is he does not know these players. He is not Murray, and you remember how Manson was basically like a son to Murray. He was also the one that, you love him more than your wife does, and all those kind of comments and things that were out there. So I don't know if he comes back or not, but you're right. If he does, it's a double win for sure. If the Avalanche go on to win a cup, he gets that and he comes back, it'd be fantastic. As far as the trade specifically, the details, I don't know if we actually broke it all down on here, but I'm sure you read the article and you saw the news, but it was Manson to Colorado for Drew Helleson and a second-round pick in 2023. The Ducks do retain 50% of Manson's salary. Not a big deal. There's only 6 or 7 weeks left in the season, but that helped the Ducks get a second-round pick instead of a third-round pick. So that was a good thing there. You mentioned Helleson being a younger version of Manson, what a lot of people have talked about. He's only 20 years old, 6'3", a little over 200 pounds. They're saying he's a good two-way defenseman, can shut down players, and has a good hockey IQ. He could be a future Manson. That's what a lot of people are saying. And on top of that, he won the World Junior Gold with Zegras. Zegras is on board. He had that funny photo of them celebrating together on Team USA on Instagram. So you know that Z's excited to have him in there too. So I'm with you as far as the trade. I think both teams won. The other thing we didn't know at the time too, Eddie, that came out later was the Ducks at the time of the trade, they owned Helleson's rights till August 2023, and then they actually went and signed that entry-level contract. A little twist to it, the contract doesn't start till next season. So a lot of people are asking, well, what does that mean for Helleson this year? What it means is he has to sign an amateur tryout contract, and then he could join the goals only for the rest of the season, which I don't care. It's good with that. For some of you, it may be a little complicated, but his contract is not eligible for the slide rule. Some of you understand that sometimes you can play your first year of an ECL depending upon your age and some factors, and then that first year doesn't get quote-unquote burned. But because of his status, that doesn't work out that way. So this is kind of a workaround, and that's why they put that entry-level contract starting next season, which, I mean, that made it even better. So now he's locked up. He's not going to leave, which was kind of a concern of some people when the trade was made. And it was funny because Verbeek said, oh, yeah, we're going to get a deal done. And I think, I can't remember who posted that, but I think it was like within hours, then it was like, oh, we signed his entry-level contract. So Verbeek was true to his word on that and got it done right away. So I like this deal, Eddie. I think it's a win-win for both teams. Your Avs weren't done yet either. They picked up Nico Strum from the Wild. So what do you think, man? I mean, we know the Ducks are pretty much going down this season. I mean, but Colorado looks like they're doing some things here. What are you thinking here with these trades?
Colorado is geared to win the Cup, and Tyson Jost they traded to Minnesota infuriates me because if you guys are new listeners, I absolutely hate the Minnesota Wild. I can't stand them. They're the team I hate the most in the whole entire National Hockey League. Tyson Jost, I've met him and I've talked to him a few times when I was stationed in Colorado. Great kid, great work ethic. He's one of those players. It seemed that he just fell down and didn't play up to his potential and went down in the depth chart. went down to that bottom roll for the Ducks. Or I'm sorry, for the Avalanche. My bad. I'm thinking about the Ducks. See, I love the Ducks so much. I'm thinking about them. I think him going to Minnesota will give him an opportunity to have a chance to thrive in a top 6 role. He's younger. He'll be a UFA. His cap hit was a little bit more, so that was the main contributing factor of the Avalanche trading him. They save about $1.25 million in cap space by trading Tyson Jost to the Minnesota Wild. Nico Strum is a big kid, a big guy, another physicality player that they want to bring in. It seems like the Avalanche are tired of getting pushed around in the playoffs, and they want to bring in the big guns. They have Manson, they have Strum. It's just Strum will be a UFA this season, so he's just a pure rental player. But it seems like the Avalanche are all in, and from what I'm reading from the analyst, Adrian Dater is a good one to follow if you're an Avs fan too. Yeah, they're not done yet. They still want to bring in more assets. Joe Sakic is an amazing GM. Usually he fleeces teams, and everyone always it's one-sided. Like, oh, Joe Sakic just robbed this team. I'm glad that Verbeek and Sakic actually had common ground, and we didn't get fleeced. It just this trade was like from the Ducks' perspective was awesome. The Wild and the Strum trade, they both benefit from it. The Wild get a younger player that they have more control over in the rights, and they can see what he can actually bring when they give him more responsibility and hopefully bring the potential of that draft pick. And then Colorado gets another pretty much quote-unquote asshole player that's going to make other teams kind of suffer playing against them.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I think you're right. I mean, obviously you follow the Avs more than I do, but they're really loading up. I don't think they're done either. Another team to watch. The Ducks aren't going to be done either as well. And I think a couple more trades did happen that may affect what the Ducks do. We talked about Raquel a little bit earlier in the show. He's been out and injured. They're not able to get him out there to play. It could affect his trade status if he's not, good to go. A rental too. There's some things going on there, trying to figure out his value. You had Seattle sending Yarnock to the Flames for a 2nd-round pick this year, a 3rd-round pick next year, and a 7th-round pick in 2024. So a lot of people are thinking that trade would affect Raquel and make his value possibly go up. But I don't know with the injury now. That's the other issue. Also, the teams that we had listed in the article that were interested are Boston, Florida, New York Rangers, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and Toronto. Well, Toronto's pretty much interested everybody on the Ducks, it seems like. But with the Rangers, they also made a trade. They sent a pick to Florida for Vatrano. So I think Raquel going to New York may be out of the picture. Florida's making some moves too. It looks like they're shaking some things up here. They made a trade with Montreal. Montreal traded Sherratt to Florida, and Florida sent Simiak and a 1st-round pick 2023 and a 4th-round pick 2022 to Montreal. So people are arguing about that, saying maybe that makes Lindholm's value go up as well. And then there's different things going on with Lindholm and Raquel. There's so much speculation right now. It's just crazy. A lot of people are saying that Lindholm and Raquel aren't going to be on the team. They're not going to get re-signed. You had Frank Sarabelli saying that. He thinks Lindholm's return is a 1st-round pick, a top prospect, and another player that's what the Ducks and Verbeek are asking for. So what do you think about all this? Do we have these trades? What do you think with Lindholm and Raquel? You think their value's gone up because of this Montreal-Florida trade and Seattle-Calgary trade? Or what's your take on these two? Because obviously Manson's gone. These are the next 2 big ones. Everyone's talking about Lindholm and Raquel. What do you think, Eddie? You think they both get traded, they both stay, or one stays and one goes?
Mike, I have to be honest with you, dude. I'm drinking a Bud Light Lime now. I had another shot. But Toronto Maple Leafs reached out to me to sign me for their team. next time this play. No, you know what? Lindholm, I think, is definitely gone. There's no progress made. We know that. He mentioned before, or it was mentioned before, he wants to test free agency. That's no problem. Lindholm is going to fetch a huge return. And you know what? If I'm the Ducks GM, why the F not? Trade Lindholm, trade Raquel. If you want them back that bad, don't work on a deal right now. have a tentative deal. Talk to them like, hey, you know what? You love this team. We love having you. Let's work out a tentative deal. We'll bring you back free agency, but now we're going to let you go so you can bring assets to our team and you can come back in the offseason. Like, it's just like that easy. And you can have a chance to win a cup. I don't know, like, that mindset is mine. If I were a GM, I would talk to the players like that. Like, hey, Lindholm, Raquel, both of you guys obviously are really good friends. You guys are close. You guys, if you guys want to come back to the Ducks, great. Let's put a deal, shake on it, put a deal on paper unofficially. Let me trade both of you guys. You guys can have an opportunity to win a cup somewhere else. You guys win a cup, great. Offseason, come back, and you have a deal already worked out. That's like, I think that's a win-win scenario for everyone. The Ducks get assets, they get better. We have our players that we love. I have a Raquel Lindholm jersey, so I love them. So if I see them win a cup, I'm not going to get mad about that. And I think everyone wins. I had a buddy, too, that's kind of close to the team, and he's told me a few things that came to fruition. He says that Raquel is not going anywhere. And if Hampus Lindholm gets moved, he said he, quote-unquote, will get moved likely to Boston or New York. He didn't say which New York, but I'm assuming it's the Rangers because the Islanders are, yeah. So, I think this trade deadline is going to be different for Ducks fans. I think it's going to be more exciting. I think it's going to be more stressful. Like I always say, Mike, I don't know what you always say. You always like put on your seatbelt or get ready for the ride, or it's going to be interesting. And the good news is, I think you're off work too on Monday, right, Mike? So, yes, so we're going to be over here tag teaming this. We're going to figure out creative ways, maybe some giveaways that we have, keep the fans entertained. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting and fun Monday. And we're most likely going to just jump on and do a quick show and break down all the trades that's going to happen. I'm going to try to get Bob Murray to come on the show. We can just talk about what he likes to drink and what he was drinking during the last few trade deadlines. That's a joke. But, yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm stressed out about it, too, just like any other Ducks fan. I don't want to see some of my favorite players go. If Delorier goes, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just go buy a Wild jersey and be a Wild fan. Never. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, it's going to be fun, interesting, exciting. I'm ready to roll with it, Mike. I can't wait till Monday comes and be up bright and early, having mimosas, and let's freaking do it.
Yeah, we will be doing something on Monday for sure. I'm not exactly, I don't know if we're going to do something early or kind of wait and whatever. I don't know. Some of these trades might happen. Heck, they might happen right as we're recording or right after, because that always seems to happen. We were joking about that in our Ducks and Pucks chat, because it seems to happen to us often. But in terms of Lindholm and what you're hearing, I'm hearing the same stuff, that Boston and it's the New York Rangers that are in on Lindholm. Florida, Edmonton, and Tampa Bay are in the mix. Obviously, Toronto's been in the mix. That's like old news. They've been in the mix for a long time. That's nothing new there. They were in the mix on Manson and Raquel, too. But I've been hearing similar things, too, as far as Verbeek trying to keep Lindholm and Raquel. And of the two, it's like more likely Lindholm would go, like you were saying. I mean, there's just such a huge return right now for him. I think it would be silly not to do it. With Raquel, him being injured, kind of, it puts a question mark in there. So it may, not saying he won't be traded, but maybe they don't get a good return, or maybe it stalls some stuff. I don't know. But that part's been an issue, because I don't think that they're, quote unquote, sitting him out on purpose and whatnot. Like some people are saying, at least with Raquel. I don't know about Getzlaf and Silverberg. I'm not really 100% sure on those two. As well, but yeah, so those are the ones to watch, obviously the big two, but the other two that have been getting phone calls on have been Delorier and Comtois. I can tell you at least 5 different teams have called and made offers on Delorier, and so it seemed like at one point, because I have a couple contacts close to D'Lo, that I honestly thought he would be traded by now. A lot of people are calling on D'Lo, a lot. And some of those teams interested are Boston, Carolina, LA, which please no, Minnesota, which you can't stand. And Pittsburgh is in the mix still for him. You remember that he almost got sent to the Penguins last trade deadline for a 3rd-round pick. So I would not be surprised if he ended up being traded and the destination was Pittsburgh. That's one that I wouldn't be surprised about. And Carolina seems to be pretty big on him too. So keep an eye on D'Lo. You have all that going on with him. And people have been calling on Comtois as well. Nothing specific as far as teams that I've heard, but just that people have been calling on him. So that's where we're at. I don't see anything else. Those are the big ones. We heard Larson's name mentioned before too. Had a couple of you ask about Silverberg. Ducks fan wants to know if Silverberg's going to get traded. Dan Estrella, he says let's try to trade him and move that $5 million contract. I'm with you. I think the problem with the Silverberg deal is that contract. He's still got a couple years left in the $5 million. We talked about this when he had the hip surgery. I don't think that he is ever going to play at the level that he did before. Not his fault, but hip surgery is a bitch. We saw what happened with Kessler. Obviously, that was a double hip issue. Why he couldn't finish, which he powered through to get to those 1,000 games. But with Silverberg, I think that's a tough one because if the Ducks are going to trade, I don't know that they're going to get a decent return because they're probably going to have to retain salary or throw in somebody, and that doesn't seem the direction Verbeek's going in. He did come out and say that he's not looking at prospects necessarily or picks either. He's trying to make the team better, and I don't know if there's a decent hockey trade with Silverberg, Eddie.
No, it's too much of a, unless the Ducks want to eat up a lot of salary, it's not going to happen at all. So, we can all take that away. Silverberg's one of those players too. You kind of want in your team, a rebuilding team. It seems, I don't know. I would say definitely not. We had one question too from BSU Rit 97 or whatever. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. About trading Gibson to the Oilers for Skinner, Broberg, and a pick. I can tell you Skinner is one of those players. He has the potential to be a great goalie. I can't see him as being a superstar. But if you're going to trade Gibson, the only way I would do it with the Oilers if it's Draisaitl's involved in it. Obviously, 1-for-1 won't be, or it might be, because they're both that caliber of players where they can change the outcome of a team. So thank you for that question. Sorry, Mike. I just want to jump on that because I saw that. And we'll have to just go on that real quick. Yeah, as far as Silverberg, he's not going to be... He's staying on the Ducks. He's just... It's too much of a contract, the term that he has. It's just... Yeah. Unless he starts playing lights out next season and goes bananas, no, he's staying on the Ducks.
No, I'm with you on the same thing on Silverberg. And even Gibson, like you talked about, I don't see that if, say, the Ducks were going to trade him, and I told you guys this, I think, on the last show. I said, hey, I'm all about entertaining offers on Gibson. I would at least listen, but I don't want a goalie. I mean, we have Dostal and Stolarz. If I'm going to trade Gibson, then I want like a top 4 defenseman, top 6 forward that scores. I want something that's going to be great. But I think Gibson's value has dipped because he hasn't been playing as well. So I think that's in the mix too. So that's why I don't really see Gibson getting moved right now. I just think there's too much stuff going on. But I'm all about entertaining it because the thing that I heard too is that, Verbeek's not like beholden to anybody. Like other than Zegras, Drysdale, and Terry, anybody could really be traded. There's nobody on there that's like, oh my God, outside those 3 that could, okay, this is the guy that's I'm going to protect. All these other guys could go because Verbeek doesn't have any attachment to these players. You got to remember that he didn't build this team. He's trying to move it around and change it and do things, to get it on track. And that's what he's talking about. Is he's not aiming at specific players. He's trying to make it better. And I think by trading Manson and getting a younger version of him, that's why that trade worked out. So that's one thing that I am kind of worried about, Eddie, is I do think that he could trade Lindholm and get a huge deal for him. But if there's not a defenseman somehow involved in that return, I'm kind of concerned because now you're looking at, okay, you have Drysdale, Fowler, Shattenkirk, You have Mahura, Schuster. I mean, Hellison's going to start coming up. But, I mean, you're going with all these young guys. And I mean, you're going to rebuild. I get it. But if you trade Manson and Lindholm and you don't have another top 4 guy coming back, that's one thing I'm curious to see in this Lindholm thing. If he trades him, if there's a defenseman that comes back on there, that's my only concern. I'm not saying don't trade Lindholm, not at all, but I'm just kind of concerned because the Ducks defense has been shaky. We can sit there and say whatever we want about Gibson and him being off and this, that, whatever, but the Ducks defense hasn't been great. I mean, we've seen that. I mean, you gave up 8 goals to Chicago. I mean, come on, Chicago sucks, but they blew us out of the water and made us look like crap, right? And we gave up 40 shots on goal to New Jersey, who's another team that's not doing well. So obviously there's a lot of issues with this team, not just Gibson not playing well. The defense has not been great. And if you trade away Lindholm and Manson, I mean, and we don't get another defenseman back somewhere in there or in a trade with Raquel or whoever, that's what I'm really curious to see about this deadline kind of overall is I guess we can go into that next section, Eddie, about the targets of who the Ducks would look at. I don't have a specific defensive player in mind. I'm just saying if they get rid of Lindholm, that's something that would I would target getting a defensive player. I mean, Hellison, like I said, that's great, but someone that can play right now.
Gosh damn, Mike, you tore that section up right now. Holy crap. I can't even agree with you more. That was amazing how you hit all those marks right there. I think Adam Town too. I wanted to answer this question: who is possibly coming to the Ducks? I can tell you one thing: it's gonna be assets. It's gonna be assets. Whatever's gonna make the team better. I think the best bet right now for the Ducks to get, especially if they want to trade Lindholm, and I 110% agree with you. You can't get rid of Lindholm and not bring someone else back to fill that role. Chychrun is pretty much our Ducks savior right now, right? Like he's the one that you have to bring back. Obviously, Arizona's not going to take on Lindholm without a term. So you have to give up a lot for him. You have to give up players that you don't want to give up. Obviously, Zegras and Drysdale, Terry, those players aren't going anywhere. I don't know, Mike. The freaking Ducks might just sign you for a day and trade you to Arizona. Who knows? But holy crap! Like I'm sorry. I'm still trying to catch my breath as a fan too of everything that's going on right now. Ducks fans, it's gonna get crazy this weekend leading up to the deadline. It's gonna be nerve wracking. I don't know what to do to slow my roll. I have these melatonin gummies. I might take a couple of those I bought from Target and just kind of calm myself down, but it's just going to be nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was going over this, and I'm really curious to see what happens. I'm almost anticipating that some of this stuff gets done before Monday, and that when we go to do the show on Monday, however we're going to do it, we might not even have anything to talk about as far as being a new trade that day. I'm really curious what's going to happen on the weekend and if stuff's going to get done before then. But talking about targets, right? Buckedup.com will be our sponsor for the targets. The giveaway, or excuse me, the discount code is DucksNPucks93. Eddie, you use buckedup.com. I figured you want to, or use their products if you want to mention something before we talk about some of this too.
Yes. Well, Mike, I use Bucked Up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to read a typical ad read. I'm just going to tell you straight up. Look, I was 230 pounds. I was almost 240 pounds. I was fat. I was miserable. I was lazy. I just was feeling sorry for myself. I snapped out of it, looked in the mirror, and changed something. Obviously, I needed something to kind of help me elevate my stuff. I was going to the gym 2-3 times a day. I had a good trainer. My buddy helped me, but I needed some supplements. Bucked Up helped me. Their Banff, which we talked about earlier, about focus, like Gibson focusing. Their Banff pre-workout makes you focus. Their Woked Up makes you crazy. Their Black AF makes you just freaking cracked out psycho. No, I'm kidding though. Bucked Up has a lot of good products. Go check them out. DucksNPucks93 code. You have any questions about any of the products, let me know. I'm not just saying this because they're just, they're one of our sponsors and we're sponsoring them. I'm saying it because I changed my life and I lost I went from almost 240 pounds to 180. I'm 181 now, just maintaining it. So it really changed my life. It really helped me. Their products too. Another one was Heat Hardcore. It just thermogenic that helps you sweat, and I just perform better. It's not one of those things. It's not steroids or anything unhealthy. It was all natural. So I just want to just kind of pass my knowledge on to the fans and anyone else. And it doesn't help getting a 20% off and free shipping from using the code DucksNPucks93. But like I said, you guys have any questions, I can show you the really big picture. What you saw, Mike, you saw Big Eddie, and when you saw me again, you and your wife, you're like, whoa, where's Eddie at? And then I'm over here. But yeah, go ahead and check out if you want to have your target weight or have more focus. Check out Bucked Up and use the code DucksNPucks93.
Yeah, it worked on you, dude. It was like a third or half of you was gone. I was like, "What the hell? You been doing some meth or what? Like, what's going on, man?" I was like, "Damn, dog." No, I know you're not, but I'm just like, "Damn, you trimmed down." No, you look good. It was just I hadn't seen you in a while. I was like, "Oh shit, this is fantastic." And I've actually been trimming down too a little bit. I actually have not been drinking as much, ironically, even though I am on the show. I've lost about 15 pounds. Back kind of where I was trimming down before when we talked about this on the show. So I'm getting back in the lower range, which has been good. As far as the targets, though, go, Verbeek's been very quiet as a GM, not really saying a whole lot. We had LA_Angel City ask about Chikrin and Line. You touched on Chikrin. He's been injured right now, so it sounds like some teams are dropping out on going for him. Maybe the Ducks drop out or not, but the Ducks are also in rebuild. They're not worried about making the playoffs. They can afford to get Chikrin and let him rest and come back when healthy. They don't have to worry about that. So for me, that's not a concern. If they're going to still go after him, I would say do it. LA, that Angel City account, he also asked about Patrick Line. We remember there was rumors about that before with him. I don't know if the Ducks would try to go after him. I mean, his contract right now is $7.5 million at Columbus. That's pretty steep for a forward. Obviously, I mean, I'm nothing against Line, obviously, but that's a tough one. I don't know if the Ducks would go for that. I mean, he's got 23 goals on the season, 22 assists. 45 points in 42 games. I mean, obviously, would I like to have a guy on that team? Yes, but is that a guy that Verbeek would want to bring in for that kind of cost? I don't think so. I think that's a little bit too much. There's some work to be done in the offseason. I know I talked to Jared about this at the watch party, and he asked a question about, with the UFAs and the Ducks trying to spend money on them in the summer, and then the RFAs coming up too, and he and I kind of talked about that, and that's something the Ducks have to worry about. I mean, right now they're going to have like 40-something million free in the summer, but that's not counting all these other signings they're going to do, what's going to happen after the deadline. That's the number now, but that's obviously going to change. So I'd like Line on the team, yeah, absolutely, but I don't know if that's in the works. I think the other one that's been out there, and they said that the Ducks were one of the top teams looking at was Kubliak on Chicago, and I think that's more of a likely scenario. He had 30 goals a couple seasons ago, then 17 last year and 11 this year. I think that's a guy that could really work well with the Ducks. I that's one I would bring in. Left wing, shoots left. I think that they could add him to the lineup. What do you think, Eddie? I mean, we talked about Chikrin a little bit already. What do you think about Line, Kubliak, or anybody else that the Ducks might want to try to target to bring into this team?
Kubliak from Chicago, he's so like you just don't know what he is. He had that amazing season. He's not doing too well, but then you can't factor in that Chicago is not doing well either. If you put him on a better team, they perform better. It's one of those things where it's like a big outlier. Like, you have no idea what's going on. You want my opinion on who to bring on the Ducks? I've told this, I think it was the last show. Victor Olofsson from the Buffalo Sabres, 26 years old. He has such an amazing shot. The one-timer shot that he has, it's just crazy. He's a 20-goal scorer in 2019, 2022. had 42 points with 22 assists. I think he could be a game changer. Obviously, he's not doing well this season. Only 27 points in 50 games, 10 goals. But I think on the right team, and you can't fault him being on Buffalo. Buffalo is just, I don't know, Mike. I think Buffalo, I hate the Wild, but I think Buffalo might be one of those teams where I might want to play for the Wild more than I want to play for Buffalo if I was a pro hockey player. But if I were the Ducks, I would go and take a run at this guy and get him. He's falling out of favor with Buffalo. Buffalo wants more assets. They want to build their team better. They got Alex Tuck, which is playing lights out for them. People are projecting him to be the next captain. He loves the team. He's from the area. So that's going to be good. They want players that want to play for the team. Obviously, Victor Olofsson, maybe he's falling out of the good graces of the team and wants to change the scenery. Something could work out with that. If I were the GM for the Ducks, I would take a run at him and try to get him and see what he can do. He just has such a fantastic shot. I used to watch a lot of hockey now. Before I just lost all my time with all this crap I'm doing. But I watched him play a lot, and his shot's just one of those things where you pair him with Zegras and you'll watch magic.
Yeah, Buffalo is an interesting team because actually got hit up by CKICH30 on Twitter about that. And he was asking about Lindholm going to Buffalo to try to get some of those forwards. And he thought maybe that could be something that could work for both teams. And I think that is something that would be interesting with Buffalo. The other one's Dylan Cousins, too, on Buffalo. He's got 31 points in 57 games. Another one to look at in there. Obviously, they have Krebs on there. They're probably not going to want to do anything with him. But, I mean, I don't know. For Lindholm, would they? And you mentioned some of the other guys on there as well. There could be something there between Anaheim and Buffalo. I mean, if Buffalo wanted Lindholm to shore up their defense, there are some promising young forwards on Buffalo. So I don't know. Is there a hockey deal there that can be made between the two teams? And this is just us, shooting the shit. I haven't heard anything. But, I mean, yeah, I think that could be a potential trade partner, Eddie. They do have some forwards in the lineup that they could use. Try to bring them in. They don't cost a lot. Like I said, they have some upcomers in there. If they're willing to part with some of them, I don't know. Some of those guys can play center and wing, Cousins and Krebs. Like I said, probably stretch, I know. But you talked about Olofsson too in there. Man, I mean, Tuck, of course. There's all kinds of guys in this lineup that they could really add, Eddie. I mean, maybe there is some kind of deal there.
Oh yeah, Tuck's not going anywhere. He's set in stone there. Cousins, I would love to get him on the Ducks. That kid's fantastic. Krebs, no, hell no. He's untouchable. He's like the Zegras of Anaheim. Right. But you know what? Honestly, too, I would hate any freaking Ducks player to go play for Buffalo. It's a shit city. And I know Jack Eichel had his issues there, but when he came back, the fans were booing him. And I wasn't a fan of his either. He seems like more of a diva. And he didn't want to play for the team after he signed that extension because the team was trending down. But the whole issue was him not being allowed to get his surgery he wanted to get. He got it and he's still playing. He went out to dinner the night of the surgery, and Buffalo didn't let him. I don't know. Buffalo fans are weird. I don't know. Being over there, it's getting you a certain level of highness where you don't like thinking straight. But damn, it's crazy. Like I said, like Olofsson is one of those players where I think he can be a game changer in a different environment. You pair him with a player like Zegras. Zegras is a pass-first kind of kid. And he just kind of lights everyone else and makes everyone else around him have fun. And I think Olofsson would benefit from that. Tuck would be a player I would love to have on the Ducks. Just all-around great hockey player, but he just got traded to Buffalo for the Eichel trade. He got off injury. He's tearing it up. I have it on fantasy too, so thank you, Tuck, for all the points you've been giving me. He's projected to be the next captain of the Buffalo Sabres, and he's bringing life to that team. So as a hockey fan, I wouldn't want to disrupt that and take him away from that. But as a Ducks fan, I would love to have him on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm throwing out Krebs and Tuck's name, and I'm pretty sure those aren't going to happen. But, I mean, they've got some other guys on there, so...
It could happen, Mike. It could happen. Gretzky got traded, so...
Yeah, you never know. So, but that's another team to watch. So, plenty of stuff going on. We're going to get... well, you had the funny question that we were going to talk about, because we're talking about this trades and all this stuff, and you're talking about Buffalo. But Hockey Fights put out a funny thing. It said... on Twitter, you're about to sign on the dotted line of your NHL contract. You need to pick 3 teams that you can't be traded to. So who are you choosing? Who are the 3 teams you wouldn't want to be traded to, Eddie?
Okay. Mine, obviously, Minnesota. Definitely not. San Jose and Buffalo. And the funny thing about this, too, our buddy and fellow Ducks and Pucks fan, Timmy, he wrote, quote, "You are a changed man. Dating a Kings fan has changed you. Please tell me they aren't your favorite number 2 team now." Okay, Timmy, number 1. No, they're not. And she's my girlfriend, so we're not dating anymore. And I picked them because I hate the Wild, I hate the Sharks, and Buffalo's a shithole city. I would never want to be in there. Like, what am I going to do? Play in the damn snow and not do anything? Maybe go freaking fish at Niagara Falls and get arrested? Hell no. And the only reason why I didn't name the Kings on that, not because of my girlfriend, because I have a lot of family and friends that live in Southern California. So if I would be traded anywhere, I go to the Kings. That's fine. I have all my family and friends. Mike Walters could be like, "Hey, he was my co-host, and I'm watching him play hockey." That's the only reason why. And you know what? Every night I wore that Kings jersey, I would buy a bottle of bleach and just dump it on my skin after that. So that's a question to answer.
Yeah, that one was a good one. I was laughing. I was looking at that, and there's no way I could play for LA. I'm not sorry. There's no way. I do not care. I would never ever. You couldn't pay me enough. LA, no. I love my Rams, but I'm sorry, I don't like the Kings.
Let's hear your teams then, Mike. Let's hear your teams.
Well, it would be the Sharks too. I just can't play for any other California team. So the Kings and the Sharks are on there for sure. As ones that I couldn't play for. And then I was trying to think about this. I know you can't stand Minnesota. That's not really a big deal for me. I mean, I wouldn't want to be out there either. But anyways,
wait. What? Wait,
Minnesota.
It's not a big deal for you? Oh my God! You know what?
Yeah,
I'm jumping on a Sharks podcast now. My bad. No, I would never do that. Oh.
No, for me it's Detroit, Eddie. I couldn't play for the Red Wings. I just couldn't, man. I know that the rivalry isn't quite there, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't go with the Red Wings. I just can't. Yeah, that's one I'd be like, I just no go for me. So that's it. San Jose, LA, and Detroit. Those are the 3 I would not want to play for.
Oh man. Okay, so this question.
Yeah,
you're a superstar player. You can sign with any team you want, besides the teams that you don't want to sign with and the teams that you do want to sign with. No, I'm sorry. The 3 teams that you wouldn't sign with, and your favorite team, which is the Ducks, are your second favorite team, the Penguins.
Right.
Who would you sign with?
That's a good one, because I was thinking about that too. I was thinking, okay, so those 3 are the ones I don't want to go with, and who would I want to go with? Like you said, besides my quote unquote bird teams, right? The Ducks and the Penguins. Oh man, I was looking at that and I'm trying to think. That's a tough one, man. I do like the Avs. I don't want to say that because that's your team. I mean, I that would be a fun one. But, oh, man, I think it would be a toss-up. I kind of like Tampa Bay, to be honest. I think that would be fantastic to go to Florida and play on the Lightning, man. And Arizona, that's another one I like. I know Arizona's playing at a college. Sorry, y'all. But I think I would like those 2. You know another team that would be a no-go too? No-go would be Nashville, Eddie. Nashville would be a no-go. If we had another one to add in there, I can't Nothing against Tennessee and being there. I know a lot of people that moved there recently, but I couldn't play for the Predators. But I think Arizona, Tampa Bay, Colorado would probably be the teams. If there was 3 teams, those would be the 3. Yeah, Colorado, Tampa Bay, Arizona. What would be the 3 teams that you would want to play for? Obviously not the Ducks in Colorado.
Oh, not Colorado. Yeah.
I can't do Penguins, so.
Okay, then I would pick obviously number 1, the Florida Panthers, because there's no state tax and you're
there
not
you go.
like you're not recognized. Tampa Bay, they're a hot team. They won the 2 cups. So if you go out to eat, everyone's gonna bother you and hey, what's up? So Florida Panthers would be my number 1 team. Vegas would be up there. Vegas, I like the Vegas lifestyle. I'd get in trouble and probably kick out the team the first year. So, but I have a good time. And you know what? My favorite Canadian team I'd probably play for, and I know they're a shit team, but the Ottawa Senators. I was a little kid. I used to like their logo and everything. And I know it's weird because they met the Ducks in the Stanley Cup final and playoffs and stuff like that. But you know what? I used to like their logo, so that'd be a 3rd team I would play for. But I want to say Florida financially would make the best thing. If I were, I want to say I'm 35 years old, maybe 6 years younger, Vegas, because I'd go crazy and I'd probably Vander King everything. I don't know. Besides hitting the women, I'm talking about gambling and being a drunk degenerate.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's another reason why I picked Tampa Bay too, was because of the taxes there, man. And,
yeah, but Tampa
not?
Bay is more like, if you go out to eat, you're going to be bothered.
I don't, yeah, that's true. I can see that.
And you're tall too, so it's like you walk in somewhere, it's like, hey, that's Mike Walters with Tampa Bay Lightning, number 88. I walk in there at 5'8". Oh, who's that little guy wearing a 44 jersey? Oh, I don't know. He's nothing. Yes, no problem, bro.
Oh man,
our conversations,
dude. That was a good segment there. We kind of went off cuff. We just so you guys know, we usually plan stuff. That was not planned. So that was a good segment there. I like that. Spontaneous. All right, we're running out of time, so let's just go to the league news. We'll wrap this up. But this is exciting. We have one more sponsor on the league news section, Norse Beards, for all you guys out there that need to trim down your beard or your mustache or whatnot. Check them out. Also, promo code on there is capital OCS. So check it out. So league news, we talked about all the trades and stuff that went on. And what is going on with San Jose though, Eddie? We talked about them, not want to be on them, but they freaking bring back Tomas Hertl for 8 years at over $8 million. Like, WTF, dude? What did you think about that shit?
It's funny. It's really funny. My girl was just calling me right now. I blocked it, so I'm gonna have to owe her something. I say that because he signed a deal, a team-friendly deal, and they honored that and paid him a little bit more than he should earn after that deal he signed years ago. Mike, I don't have no idea what the hell's going on with San Jose Sharks. He's a great player. Like he's their best player. He's not a superstar. He's not that player that's going to push them over the edge and get them to that level. He's not a Nathan McKinnon. He's not a Sidney Crosby at his prime. He's not a McDavid, Drysdale. He's not a Zegras. I don't know what's going on. You mentioned we're talking about smoking meth earlier. I think that the GM of the San Jose Sharks hit the pookie pipe a little bit. He's smoking a little bit of I don't know. It's just no disrespect to Hertl at all. Like I said, he's a fantastic player. He's a great player. Is he worth $8 million or that $65 million contract in 8 years? Absolutely not. You know what? What's good for us is they're paying Carlson. They're going to pay him. They're going to regret this. The Sharks aren't going to go anywhere. They're not going to win a cup anytime soon. That's the only positive thing. So, you know what, Mike? I haven't used it the whole show, but I'm going to use it right now. Fuck the Sharks.
Yeah, I know. I was like, well, good for you guys. You want to do that. I'm with you. Like, whatever, dude. And then There's not going to be any reunion with Pavelski because he signed a 1-year deal for $5.5 million with Dallas and a $500,000 bonus. What did you think about that? I mean, I don't know. Is that worth it for Dallas, or should the Sharks have tried to bring him back? I mean, obviously they had Hurdle on the brain, so.
Yeah, you know what? With Pavelski, and I put this on our league news because I'm so amazed, and it sucks to actually say that I'm a fan of a former Shark. If you guys look at his numbers, Pavelski's been one of the most dominant and consistent players, and I don't know, since I've been following the National Hockey League. If you go and look at his numbers, it's just been crazy. And right now, he's 37 years old, and he has 60 points already, 23 goals, 37 assists. Dallas made a good choice of signing him and re-signing him for the deal that he signed, the $5.5 million. Hell no. He's not slowing down. Mike, I guess that meth is kicking in on Pavelski. So kidding on that. I think San Jose screwed up on letting him go. I'm glad they did because I don't want to face him. I'd rather him score points at the Dallas Star on the Ducks than a San Jose Shark on the Ducks. But it's just crazy. I did talk about the Dallas Stars place Andre Sekera on waivers too. And I asked you a question, Mike. Is he a possible Ducks pickup? He's in the last year of a tier deal at $1.5 million per cap friendly. The Ducks are possibly going to move Lindholm. He could be the veteran presence to help Drysdale and our other young defensemen. And he could actually be a plug, like we had Andre's sister got put in. So, I don't know, Mike. What do you think about him getting possibly picked up by the Ducks on waivers?
I mean, they could try to go after him and do that. The only thing with him is that he's going to be a UFA. So, I mean, it would be a limited time. I mean, unless they thought there was a way to bring him back or something. I don't know. I think it's too much of a risk. With his deal, being done at the end of the season. If he had another year on, maybe. So I don't see the Ducks going after him, Eddie.
Yeah, well, this is where I disagree with you. I have no idea. If it's Drunk Murray, probably, but if Verbeek needs someone to replace Lindholm and just had that extra defenseman on the back of his pocket, maybe. And I'm more thinking about as a veteran presence. He's been around for a while. He took he almost took the Stars to he didn't take them. He was a contributing factor, but he was there when the Stars made their run. Personally, I wouldn't think it was a bad move to bring him in and give our young guns a break. Don't prematurely rush someone up from the AHL and put them in a predicament that they're not comfortable with and kind of rush the development and screw it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I just think the only thing is just if he had another year on, maybe they would do it. I don't know unless Verbeek thinks he can get him and bring him on for another year. So
hell no. I'm saying just bring him in just to fill Lindholm's spot and add just I guess a roster spot. Not
right. No, I got you. No, I got you. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. We'll kind of end up here with the last couple things. We have a couple good stories to finish on, Eddie. The New Jersey Devils, if you want to talk about PK Subban and what he did with his foundation.
Yeah, well, Subban, he's in Montreal. He donated a lot for the Children's Hospital, and that was awesome. And now he's actually supporting Ukrainian children with cancer that are arriving in Montreal for treatment. And the New Jersey Devils are treating that. I know this is a sensitive subject for people, and people are pro, against it. I don't care about that. I don't get into politics. All I care about, there's children with cancer, and he's helping them. The National Hockey League and New Jersey Devils are helping them. That's all that matters. I think PK Subban is a selfish and piece of crap player on the ice, but I think he has a big heart off the ice, and I'm looking forward to him retiring and contributing part of the game more than what he's doing on the ice. This is, I don't know, this is touching. I lost a cousin to cancer, and him doing this, regardless of what you think, like I said, It's amazing that PK's willing to put his money on, and the New Jersey Devils are willing to support him and kind of put their money where their mouth is too. Like I said, this is all about children that have cancer. It's not about who they are or where they're from. It's just cancer sucks, and that's one thing we can all agree on, that we can all come together on and try to battle together.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife and I lost another friend to cancer recently, so it's been a rough 2 years. I've lost a lot of friends in this last family and friends in this last 2 years, and unfortunately, a lot of them have been from cancer. So it's rough. So, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad he's doing that, regardless of what you think about him and playing hockey. And then the Ducks, they did something that was awesome. They showed Jackson Lewis Rodriguez, who is a Make-A-Wish recipient. He went and met with Getzlaf and Zegras and a couple of the team and whatnot. But he was so excited. His facial expression, everyone's cracking up. Took a photo of it, and I put it on a shirt just to kind of make it something funny, because people are talking about it being a Dude 2.0 shirt. But just to see that kid's face, Eddie, what a good thing the Ducks did as well there.
Oh yeah, dude! It was instantly gave me like chills. I got happy. It was cool. Great for him. Zegers was awesome. Getzlaf's comment, like, "Oh, they ran out of 15 jerseys." Oh, it was just the funniest thing in the world. I love this team. I love Zegers. Zegers is he's gonna change the game of hockey, and I love it.
Absolutely, and it's just a great moment. So we want to finish on some good stuff there. So this show, we kind of blew it up, but buckle your seatbelts, hang on. It's going to be a crazy weekend. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening around the league and with the Ducks. Eddie and I will be doing something on Monday for sure. We'll post stuff. Stay tuned for that. And that's it. Let's go Ducks.